I grew up in Helsinki, Finland, and my father was an amateur musician, so he would listen to a lot of music around the house, and he loved jazz, and he has some recordings of big bands like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and bands like that. And I never really paid attention to that much. But at the same time, I had started classical piano lessons when I was a kid, and did those. But at some point, I ended up hearing some of his recordings that featured small groups, and more recent recordings where the recording quality was better. I had felt that the big bands were kind of like some like old hat music, really. But and through that, I really got interested initially in some of the small groups that my father would listen to, like West Montgomery with Wynton Kelly or Oscar Peterson, that kind of stuff, and started to kind of learn off those recordings. And my father would teach me some tunes, but he didn't really know anything about music theory, or well, he couldn't really properly read music either. So it was something, it was very kind of intuitive on his part. His instructions to me were right or wrong, or usually the right was not even kind of uttered, it was just kind of a little nod that sounds pretty much what it's supposed to be.
And then when I came here, I actually came to Boston initially. Berkeley was the only school in the U.S. that I knew of in Finland at that time. So I came to Berkeley. I spent a couple of years at Berkeley, and then I went to New England Conservatory after that for a master's degree.
Well, I probably liked all the jazz piano players that everybody else likes, and but maybe more specifically of the jazz musicians, jazz piano players that I enjoyed were Duke Ellington, and Monk, and Paul Bley, and plus I also listened to a lot of non-piano players, like Miles, for instance, and Coltrane, and in addition to that also Steve Lacy and Charles Mingus and so on. In addition to that, the other kind of main part of my interests for, let's say, for the last 10-15 years has been contemporary classical music, a lot of 20th century composers. But I really also grew up listening to a lot of rock music, and I still find myself somehow being connected with some of that, although maybe in kind of less obvious ways. I grew up listening to early David Bowie and Alice Cooper, and my brothers were listening to the Beatles, so I had to listen to that whether I wanted to or not, and Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, people like this.
I mean, I was never really considering myself a pianist that would kind of go to these piano evenings, piano hangs, you know, where everybody talks about, you know, their favorite German Steinway in some little town in Belgium or something like this. I mean, my musical interest was not that connected specifically to the piano, but I'm happy with the instrument I've chosen. But that's kind of not my real kind of inclination in music in general.
Well, I don't know if there's a typical week, but it really consists of, it's kind of a patchwork of different things that makes up the whole kind of professional picture. And part of it is teaching, teach at a couple of schools, and also a fair amount of writing. some commissions, some just because I need to or want to write, and some playing in my own groups as well as a sideman for other people's projects. So it's kind of that's what it's been for the last number of years, and it seems like everything kind of balances each other out.
I write, and I like organizers of music, you know, like these gents that we're working with here, that somehow try to see beyond kind of their own space just a little bit. That always intrigued me.
What are you writing for? What ensembles? What style? What?
Well, I have an ongoing project for probably the last 10, 12 years. I have a quintet that I write vocal music for.
Really?
To a lot of contemporary poets, a lot of 20th century American poets, some Russian poets, Finnish poets, Indian poets. And so that's been kind of a ongoing thing, and I've been writing for a dance company in New York. I've had a number of commissions from this one company. I write for a big band, and all kinds of different configurations.
I guess I just simply seek out certain things, and at this point, I guess it would be safe to say that I try to focus on a few things rather than be a extremely well-rounded professional. So there are certain things I like to do, and I hope that can continue rather than being able to do everything.
My time is limited, as all of our times are, I guess. And if I just simply concentrate on the things that I really like about music, no matter what happens, I can live with the consequences. Because in the end, I have spent my time with things that I find meaningful. So it doesn't put so many pressures on specifically what happens to me in terms of a career and things.
Right now I've been listening to Ligeti piano etudes, which are way too hard to play, but I like listening to them anyway. And I'm working on a couple of projects, two piano projects with an Armenian pianist called Vardan Ovsepian. Through that I've listened to some music that will kind of help me in that direction, and as well as some jazz that seems to be kind of the mainstay in my musical diet. Some Monk, some Herbie Nichols, some Mingus, and Miles, and so on. Hopefully, just I can do whatever I want to do better. But in terms of, I'm not searching for something for some completely new directions. I'm just trying to focus and get deeper into the things that I'm already doing, and hopefully get deeper into them and be able to do them better.
I like to be able to continue playing and writing and playing with good musicians and learning, studying.